Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we've got a nostalgic build. We're going to restore / Restomod this Husky Monkeemobile. Now this was from the rock band The Monkees back in the mid to late 60s. They had this really cool car made for the television show. And every kid at the time wanted that car because of how cool it looked. It was based off of a Pontiac GTO, and it was a pretty darn good looking car and pretty wild. But like I said, every kid wanted this car, kind of like the Batmobile at that same time frame. Well, we got this version here. It's from Husky, who later on, I believe, was bought out by Corgi. And they relabeled it as a Corgi car, but this one is a Husky. So we're going to take this car apart and we're going to evaluate it, but we're going to try and make this car look more like the real car, because the parts on this car, like the wheels, etc., they just don't look that good. But I think that we can definitely fix it. Now the posts on the front roof and the windshield there, all 4 of these posts are broken, so we're going to have to fix those. I'm going to go in a little bit later here and show you how I do it, and hopefully this may help you with a future build that you may have. We're going to strip this all down. These wheels have got to go. Now the suspension on these things is actually pretty simple but pretty darn cool. But we're going to replace the wheels and get something that looks a little bit more like the real car. We're going to paint the interior white. Now here's all 4 of the monkeys inside the car. We're going to take them out, scrub out the interior, paint it up, and put them back in because they're in pretty darn good shape. We're going to take care of the engine. Now look at the little nubs here for the exhaust pipes. Those are pretty weak. So we're going to put something that looks a little bit more representative of the real car. And we're going to also clean up this windshield and fix this up. So stick around, grab your favorite adult beverage, and let's get started with today's Restomod, the Monkeemobile. Here we've got the car. We're going to put it in the embalming fluid. Now make sure that you get everything covered because we're going to do a complete color change. Instead of the red enamel or the opaque paint, we're going to turn this into Spectre Flame. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do this build for an incredibly long time, and I finally got my hands on one of these cars. The underside of the car is painted also, so we're definitely going to have to take care of that too. Coat it up with the embalming fluid and then get it on the tray, and we'll let it set for a while. Okay, let's come back to that.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Okay, we got the car out of the embalming fluid. Now that we've got all the paint stripped off, we're going to go ahead and try and repair these window posts. Now this particular car, it depends on what version you look at as to whether the car had wing windows or not. But we're going to use some super glue and some baking soda, and that's going to strengthen up the strength of the repair that we're going to do. I got this big old box of cotter pins at Harbor Freight, and they were like $5 for like 500 of them or something like that. So it was definitely a good buy. Cut the little post a length off the small cotter pins. Get you some super glue on the body. First off, we'll just go ahead and repair the roof posts that are already there. Now, they're kind of bent. We did the best we could to straighten them up. Now that we got those in place, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle them. Well, let's try and make sure they're in place first. This is an incredibly tedious task, folks, but you can do it. You definitely can do it. And then once they're all in there and they're set, you're going to come back in with a sanding stick or an emery board or a small file or something like that and file off the excess super glue. But you got to be careful. You don't want to remove too much because that's literally what's holding everything in place. I can't begin to tell you the amount of curse words that I used putting this thing together. Now we're going to sprinkle on some of this baking soda. This has a chemical reaction with the glue, and it strengthens it up. And then, like I said, you're going to come back in later on after it sets up and hardens. Now the baking soda will instantaneously harden the glue, but sometimes underneath the baking soda it might still be a little bit wet. So you still want to let this set for a while before you start getting in there and start sanding. Try and brush off as much of the excess as you possibly can. And again, like I said, let that set for a while. Now, this car here that I had when I got it had a couple of posts for the wing windows. Those ones set up pretty good, the ones that I got in there now. So using those cotter pins, there's today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. Also the use of the baking soda with the super glue. Now other builders do that, but again, you might have forgotten it. Now I put the wing window posts in, and I'm using this little sharpening stick or this little sanding stick to go in and sand it down. Now later on, the angle of the wing window was wrong, so I had to take those out and do them again and put them at a slight angle to make sure that they matched what was there before. Now we're going to polish the car up with flitz, since we're going to go in and use the car and the base with the Spectre Flame paint. We want to make sure that that's really shiny. So let's go ahead and continue on and sit back with your adult beverage and watch and have some fun. That's pretty shiny. Now when you're polishing up the car, make sure that you're very ginger around the post that you just repaired if you have to do that. This polished up absolutely sweet. I love flitz. Folks, if you don't have flitz, you really need to get some. Now there's other products out there like Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream. That stuff works fantastic too. But I love flitz, and I will stick by it 110%. Now, there's an offer for flitz at the end of this video, so check it out, where you can get up to 20% off. So please check out the commercial at the end of the video on how to get 20% off. Now we're mixing up the paint. We're using Spectre Flame Red from the Redline shop, and we're also using the Hardener Activator. Now the mixture is 5-to-1.
Waiting for the paint to dry.
5-to-1 on the paint. 5 parts paint, 1 part activator hardener, and your paint will come out flawless. That looks fantastic. Now we are going to paint the roof white, but you're going to have to let that set overnight at least before you start putting any paint over the top of the red Spectre Flame, because the color will bleed through. Okay, remember that. So take your time, let it harden. Now we're going to put on some really cool mag wheels. The real car had Krager's. Now I don't have any Krager SS wheels, so I use some from Samed wheels, which are pretty darn close, and they look darn excellent. So that's what I decided to use. I put the wheels inside a small brass tube and crimped them on the ends instead of cutting the little holes and putting the glue in, which worked just as well, and then centered them up. Now before you do this step, if you do one of these cars, you want to make sure that the exhaust ports that you're using don't bump into your wheels. Now here I've got my Monkees decals. I had to order these decals from Australia, okay? It took a while to get here, but I finally did get them. There's another place in Canada that sells them too, and I finally did get some from there also because the ones from Australia were taking a long time. Put them in your water, let them soak and release from the backing paper, put them in the right position, and then using a Q-tip, squeegee out the excess water. Now when you go to put the decal on the other side of the car, make sure that it's in approximately the same location, even though the guitar is going in the opposite direction. Now we've got the window. We polished it up really good with Plastex polish, wiped it off really good, and then we dipped it in the Pledge Revive. That's going to look fantastic. Go ahead and cover it up with the plastic cover so you don't get any dust bunnies on there, and then let that set. You should let it sit for a few hours at a minimum. We painted the roof white on the car. That looked fantastic. We put the decals on, let them sit overnight. We detailed up the car, and then we clear coated it with clear coat from the Redline shop. We have the base with these beautiful Samed wheels. Now if you happen to find some Krager looking wheels, that's great. The old wheels on this car looked like dog do. That's why I had to change those out. Here's the interior, all painted white, that's at least the white that you'll see anyway. Put the monkeys back in the car. Here's the windshield, clear coated with the Pledge Revive. That looks great. Now here's the engine. I made some exhaust pipes and put them over those little nubs, and they look great. Here's what we started with. A really worn out, broken Monkeemobile from Husky. We took the car apart. We fixed all 4 posts because all of them were broken or missing. We repainted the interior. We painted the car a Spectre Flame red and repainted the entire roof like the real car. That looks excellent. We replaced the wheels with Samed wheels that look absolutely beautiful on this car. We put everything back together, and the results that we have here are absolutely fantastic. Now, I've got a Patreon page, folks, and I sure could use your help because the monthly subscription fee that folks pay goes to helping me get my supplies to make the videos. There's a link in the comments, so please check out my Patreon page and become a member of the team. And here's what we got to. Look how cool this car looks. I absolutely love it. Now, like I said, every kid my age wanted this car when we were back then at that time in the mid to late 60s. Based off of a Pontiac GTO, it's beautiful. We detailed everything up that was chrome with a Molotow chrome pen. Made that look good. This car rolls fantastic also. Even, with the exhaust pipes that we put on there, we made sure that we had the room. But we put everything together, and this is the final result. And like I said, folks, you guys can do this too. I send you to places like the Redline shop to get paints and decals and parts. Second Chance Redlines and get decals. Samed wheels to get your aftermarket wheels. Folks, you can do this, I promise you. This video is brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of products for your die-cast restoration needs, such as hoods for your car, glass tops for your car, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course the world-famous Spectre Flame paints. What a great product. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. And don't forget about the great products of Flitz. If you go to their website at www.flitz.com, for those folks watching Diecast Graveyard videos, the folks at Flitz have got a special offer for you. If you go to their website, any product online, Flitz will offer you 20% off any product off their website. At the end of the transaction, type in the code GRAVEYARD. Now this deal is for anyone who watches Diecast Graveyard's videos, but you have to go to the Flitz website in order to get this special deal. Thank you to the great folks at Flitz. I want to thank you for joining me today in Diecast Graveyard. This car was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. Got a lot more videos coming up in the near future, folks. Please subscribe, give it that big thumbs up, and if you got something you want to see, put a comment in the comments. My name is Paul with Diecast Graveyard. Thank you so much and have a great day.